Tonight, hours and hours after these early morning fires broke out, you can actually still smell smoke in the air, and it really looks like there was an earthquake, not a thunderstorm. Take a look at Hall Hill Road in Rumford where we're standing. The roadway has completely caved in where we are right now. The storm had barely begun and there were only a few inches on the ground, but treacherous conditions led to all this, a 19-car pileup on 295. Good evening, I'm Beth Jones. Foley was kidnapped in 2012 while covering the Syrian uprising. The Islamic State posted a video last week showing his execution. This is the view from a security camera right outside Josh Key's apartment door. He said he installed the system to keep an eye on those classic cars he restores. Now he says he hopes to use that security camera to catch a cat in the act. Well, Kim Hostess made the announcement via their website earlier this morning that they were proceeding with plans to close up shop nationwide, including their facility here in Biddeford. Supporters say they want universal health care for all Mainers. Fox 23's Katie Sampson tells us how this is the start of a larger movement for change. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So it's a three-part step. That's a crossbody and a single turn. That's really going to tell the tale as to just how intense this gets and how much flooding we see. Again, high tide. Woo! Oh, I've been waiting for that all morning. All morning. Good times. But yeah, you can see some pretty intense action out here. We're live in Camp Ellis. A very soaked Beth Jones, News 13.
I try to keep it together around people, but when I'm home alone, it's horrible.
Trevor Mill's mother, Eleanor, was among numerous friends and family members who stood up in court today to ask for justice for her slain son and Renee Sandora, their convicted killer, Joel Hayden, just feet away. They described agonizing grief, nightmares, anger, and all asked that Hayden get the maximum sentence.
He deserves nothing less than life, and I hope he lives out the rest of his miserable days caged up like the animal that he is.
The court imposes the following sentence.
The judge handed Hayden 2 life sentences, one for each life he took on that day back in July of 2011, when Hayden shot Mills and Sandora outside her home in New Gloucester, a crime for which Judge Mills says Hayden showed no remorse. On his way out of court, Hayden had this to say.
You'll pray for me like I pray for y'all every day, all right?
The peaceful spirit will get him further than just fighting this thing. It's over.
For the parents of Renee Sandora, their focus now is raising their 4 grandchildren, one of whom testified against their father. They say there is no real closure. They will never see their daughter again, nor will her children grow up with their mother.
Well, we keep a picture of their mother in all the kids' bedrooms so that they'll know her. And when the time comes, we'll just tell her what happened, tell the kids what happened, and go from there.
Today, though, their message was for all those out there who are trapped in the same cycle of abuse that cost their daughter her life.
If people can get away from them, far away, that's probably the only thing that will work, because they always come back.
In addition to serving life in prison, Joel Hayden has been ordered to pay almost $20,000 to a victim's compensation fund. His attorney tells us they plan to appeal this sentence. In Portland, Beth Jones, News 13.
They kicked this door in, they got us out of bed, made us all come in here, and told us to put our hands up in the air or where they could see them.
Wendy Turner describing what it was like when masked men posing as DEA agents forced their way into her home around 5 o'clock this morning. She says she, along with her daughter, son-in-law, 6-year-old granddaughter, and 2 others were handcuffed by the men who were all dressed in black.
Are you scared? Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Turner says the men, armed with guns, ransacked the house, stealing cigarettes, several purses, and prescription drugs. She believes that was their main motivation.
They were after my pain pills, and my daughter's on pain medication, and she's almost died twice in the last 3 months.
They were drug addicts.
And they had to be drug addicts.
If people can't buy it on the street, they're going to rob pharmacies, and unfortunately we're starting to see the home invasions and burglaries targeting prescription drugs is starting to creep up again. It was down a little bit, at least in the rural areas, but it's starting to creep back up.
All say they are grateful no one was hurt, especially 6-year-old Jalen.
Okay, here.
Are you still scared now? Are you okay now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. She was very brave.
The family here tells us the suspect said they were leaving to go get a drug dog, but never actually came back inside the house. Instead, the family says they heard them take off down the driveway and get away. Police say they've gathered a good amount of forensic evidence from the scene, and the investigation is ongoing. In Standish, Beth Jones, News 13. Today, Russian troops fired warning shots at Ukrainian troops at what was a Ukrainian base in Belbek. Less than 2 weeks ago, a bloody revolt in Kiev left dozens dead and the Ukrainian president running for cover and out of the country.
It has never really been predicted that it would rise to such a level.
Mainer and Ukraine native Lesia Stasimavor says conflict has been a way of life for people in that part of the world for a long time. She says her uncle worked in a government building that was set on fire during the recent chaos and killing.
Nurses being shot, executed right there as they're helping the wounded.
She says with Putin's threats of force, it's been sleepless nights for her family.
They truly didn't know whether they're going to be getting up at 5:30 in the morning to a war at hand going full blast or not. It was very unsettled.
But she says for her family and many others, it's a price they're actually willing to pay, even though she worries about the safety of her loved ones.
I try not to get upset because it's really so much more at stake than my family. There is thousands of families and there are 100+ people that were executed and died who have little kids, who have pregnant wives. And it's so much more. It's so much more. The issue is so much bigger than just somebody's immediate family.
She says Secretary of State Kerry's presence there is a good thing, and she hopes diplomatic influence from the U.S., not military force, will bring a resolution.
Being the country that we are and stand for what we stand, I think it would be quite a powerful step in the right direction if they can say, you know, Russia, Putin, this is not what we do. This is going to be consequences. And you just can't live like this in the 21st century.
In the meantime, she says the slain protesters are lost, but not forgotten. A legacy to fuel a greater cause, freedom.
Somebody's sadness becomes everybody's sadness. And somebody's loss, it's not just that individual's family's loss. You mourn, all of you as together.
Lesia says she has spoken to her family in the last couple of days and they are doing okay. In the studio, Beth Jones, Fox 23 News at 10. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Beth Jones. Rain is heading our way and it could disrupt some weekend plans. Let's get right to your forecast. Right now, the high bid is $78,000. The lighthouse dates back to 1855 and is still in use by the U.S. Coast Guard.
$78,000. I think we could both maybe chip in, maybe.
Just a little bit, in a couple of decades we could take care of it. We'll talk about an early Christmas. A pair of New Hampshire grandparents are $2.4 million richer tonight. Always good news to hear that at least the weekend is looking good.
Super.
Yeah. Well, it's official. The Boston Red Sox have unloaded over $250 million in payroll and a trade with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Sports Evans Boston has more on the blockbuster trade shaking up the team. Evans, this is a landmark deal for the Sox.
Unprecedented bet, so this could go right down to the wire.
Right down. Well, that's how we like it as sports.
That's how we like it.
Down to the wire. Well, we'll be right back with another look at your forecast.